And we're live. In this post, I wanted to take a look at Elon Musk posting about the Great Depression or the Great Replacement Theory, something that I wasn't too familiar with. So take a look at this video and let's see what he has to say. Welcome to Verbal on Life. My name is Noel, battling MS and just taking a look at Elon Musk postings. For this video, he wrote, "The problem with the Great Replacement Theory is that it fails to address the foundational issue of low birth rates." And when it comes to low birth rates, I'm surprised that Elon Musk is not really working on any new technology to help out with that. I mean, I'm always hearing promoting that people should have more kids. And like, for example, he has, I think it's 10 kids, if I'm not mistaken, today, April 2024. But he hasn't developed any new technology that helps with birth rates. I guess the only solution that he's putting forward that I see is him promoting the idea that people should have more kids, that we should end, getting rid of children. Such as like in China, I think China had like a one-child policy, but now their population is in decline. And it's a big problem. Let me see what else he wrote here. He wrote down, record low birth rates are leading the population collapse in Europe and even faster population collapse in most of Asia. Immigration is low in Asia, so there is no replacement going on. The countries are simply shrinking away. And I'm glad that he's pointing this out because, for example, I'm 45 years old and I was raised with the idea that the world is overpopulated and that the worst thing you could do or that I can do is have a child. That it is so incredibly difficult to raise a child. And that's what they keep feeding us and letting us know, that the reason poverty exists is because there's too many people and poor people keep having children. And now I see the complete opposite. Like, we need to have more children. And not just Elon Musk pointing it out, but the reality of life, the fact that kids are not that expensive, that it should put fear in all of us. Okay, he wrote down, if this doesn't turn around, then any countries on earth with low birth rates will become empty of people and fail into ruin. The remains we see of many long dead civilizations. Okay, I gotta step my reading up. But he also shared a video which I think does a great job explaining. Let me see what it says.
Let me back this up for you with some statistics from my home country. Budapest, hello fellow Europeans and American friends. Thank you so much for having me. Allow me to skip formalities for a moment and dive right into a subject that is not so cheerful, but very, very necessary to discuss. Let me walk you through the past 7 days in Europe. This week in Stockholm, 3 elderly women in their 70s were stabbed in broad daylight on the streets. In London, 4 people were stabbed in a time span of just 42 hours. In Paris, hundreds of African migrants took to the street to riot. And in Brigalow, also in France, yet another church was burned down to the ground.
And it's insane when these illegal migrants come into a country and just cause havoc. Like, we're not getting the best of the best from different countries. We're getting crazy illegal people that are just destroying and breaking what we got so far. And that's scary as hell.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is just a few incidents in just a couple of days on our beautiful continent. But we all know that these incidents aren't incidents anymore. If there's one thing that's for sure, it's that we know, and our governments also know, that there is a link between mass migration and crime. In the Dutch city of Dordrecht, something interesting happened the other day. They announced, and this is a small city in the Netherlands, in my home country, that a new asylum center will be put in that little town. And what did the municipality do? They said, we are going to offer citizens who live in the vicinity of this center €1,000 to take extra safety measures. Our new reality in Europe consists of frequent rapes, stabbings, killings, murders, shootings, even beheadings.
That's insane. And I don't know who is responsible for this. It's like the elites, the millionaire politicians seem to be okay with this. So it's like we got to speak out and we got to say something, because if they're not doing it, they're not talking, they're letting all of this slide. That's crazy.
But let me be clear about one thing. This did not used to happen before. This is a newly imported problem. Samuel P. Huntington predicted this over 25 years ago when he wrote, and I quote, "In the new world of mass migration, the most pervasive, important, and dangerous conflicts will not be between the social classes. They will not be between the rich and the poor. They will be between peoples belonging to different cultural entities. Tribal wars and ethnic conflicts will occur within civilizations." Well, boy, was he right.
Yeah.
And the worst part is, we as a society seem to have become indifferent to it. When another white boy or a white girl dies at the hand of an immigrant, we might shake our head, we might let out a sigh, we might even get angry for a minute or two, and then we go on with our lives. We offer the family thoughts and prayers, but nothing ever changes. Ladies and gentlemen, what does that say about us? This is a response of a society that has already given up, a society that has already accepted its defeat. But is this true? Have we given up? Do we really accept the new reality that our globalist leaders have in mind for us? I know one thing for sure, and that is that if nothing changes, if we don't start to seriously fight for our continent, for our religion, for our people, our countries, then this time that we live in will go down in history as the time in which Western nations no longer had to get invaded by hostile armies in order to be conquered. This time will then go down in history as the period in which the invader was actively invited in by a corrupt elite. And not only did this corrupt elite invite the enemy in, they made the native population pay for it too.
That's crazy. I'm in America, and it feels like they're using our tax dollars, what we paid into the system, to give these illegal migrants money, housing, food, and hey, do whatever you want, no jail time. They're just letting people out of jail. Insane. And like it was predicted and it's happening. So it's like, whoa. For me, I think all of this boils down to money. And there's a group of people that are just getting paid and feel like, okay, you know what? I don't care as long as I keep getting paid. Getting paid by the states, getting paid by the government. And it's all a money grab. Crazy.
Everyone who has eyes can see it. The native, white, Christian European population is being replaced at an ever-accelerating rate. Let me back this up for you with some statistics from my home country. Let's take Amsterdam, the capital. Amsterdam currently consists of 56% migrants. The Hague, 58% migrants. Rotterdam, almost 60%. migrants.
Whoa.
And of course, most of these immigrants come from non-Christian, non-Western, African and Middle Eastern countries. Conclusion, the Dutch population is already outnumbered in the majority of our cities. But let's look onwards. London, 54% migrants. Again, conclusion, native population outnumbered. Brussels, color me shocked, 70% migrants. Conclusion, native population majorly outnumbered.
Whoa.
And other Europeans will, of course, follow suit soon if they haven't already. So I'm going to draw the forbidden conclusion here. The Great Replacement theory is no longer a theory, it's reality. And what's interesting about replacement is that the establishment will either deny its existence, or when they admit to it, they say that it's a good thing that the native European population is soon no longer a majority on its own continent.
And look at that. That's the talking points, the narrative that it's good that we are being mixed. The whole what's called DEI replacement, like let's mix it up. This is actually good for us. Wow. And it's sad that the people at the bottom, the people getting the few pennies, the couple of dollars, the jobs, are the ones helping the elites pitch this to the masses or to the people, and teaching them that it's okay, that this is actually good, that it's only a few bad apples. When in reality, man, it's one bad apple is crazy. But please comment below. Let's keep listening to it because she is dropping truth bombs.
Dutch national disgrace and dubbed climate pope Frans Timmermans already stated in 2015 that diversity is humanity's destiny and that Europe will be diverse. And of course, by now, I think we all know what they mean with the word diversity. It means less white people, less of you. Imagine this in an Asian or an African country. Imagine their leaders rejoicing in the fact that their people will soon no longer be a majority in their own country. Absolutely unthinkable.
And the more and more diversity hires are destroying these institutions, I just only hope that is more apparent and people could see it, that it's not working, that we got to stop looking at diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is the worst thing possible. Instead, look at people's character and people's strength. Some people just do things. They're good at that particular skill. They could do it instead of looking at other things like race.
Unimaginable. So what in the world is wrong with our leaders? The underlying sentiment of what they say is always the same. Our establishment claims that white people are evil and that our history is somehow fundamentally different from that of others. Consciously or unconsciously, they have sucked up the lies and the anti-white dogmas of the neo-Marxist critical race theory. That's why the totalitarians in Brussels are trying to force you, the Hungarian people, a sovereign nation, to accept immigrants despite the fact that the population has said no, and so has the government. But make no mistake, the majority of the Dutch people haven't asked for this either. Just like Brussels is forcing Hungary to accept these hordes of immigrants, they are doing the same now, even in the smallest of towns in the Netherlands. No part may remain Dutch in the traditional sense of the word. No part of Europe may remain European. And it's not difficult to understand why. If the old Europe still exists in certain places, then people will be able to compare the new Europe to the old, and newsflash, they will prefer the old. That's why the Eurocrats hate Hungary so much. And their message is clear. Our way of life, our Christian religion, our nations, they have to go, without exception. Their vision of the future is the neoliberal, unrecognizable Europe, where every city becomes kind of like Brussels: ugly, dirty, unsafe, zero social cohesion, where the buildings are constantly under construction and they never ever seem to finish. And even when they do, the end result is uglier somehow than what they started with. And what are we left with? A permanent state of isolation, confusion, and disorientation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the New World Order.
And it's working. That is so sad that somehow they're putting it off. And people just don't want to get involved, right? This is way too much. Like, what are we doing here? And letting other politicians or somebody else to come up on the ranks and fix these problems. But more and more people got to talk and point out the obvious truth that this is not working. Why are we replacing what's already there? Instead of making it better, it's just making things worse.
So, what's the antidote? A strong Christian Europe of sovereign nation states. That's why we need to outright reject the lie that nationalism causes war. It's not nationalism or national sovereignty that causes war. It's expansionism. And where in Europe do we find that nowadays? In one place and one place only: Brussels. Isn't it funny how the same people who erode our national sovereignty and love to do it, give it all up to the bureaucrats there, that those people are now telling us that we need to spend billions and billions of euros on the national sovereignty of Ukraine? It's a joke, honestly, and it's a pretty sick, expensive, and dangerous joke.
Yep.
During a recent interview, I got asked by an interviewer, do you think that you ever go too far? Do you think that you're ever too radical? I thought about it for a second, and I said, no. No, I don't think I go too far. Truth be told, ladies and gentlemen, I think we in Europe do not go far enough. I think that if we really think about the organized structural attack on our civilization, that we don't do enough. Do we do enough to stop the attack on our families, on our continent, on our countries, on our religion? When we hear about another murder, another stabbing of a young innocent child, do we do enough? When we know that our national sovereignty has been given up in less than a century to Brussels, do we do enough? When we hear that Christian kids in Germany are now converting to Islam to fit in, do we do enough? I don't think so. The totalitarian institute of the European Union needs to come down. Let me be clear, I don't believe in reforms. When the foundation of your institution is rotten, and that is the case in Brussels, you can rebuild the house on top of it all you want, but it's still going to crumble. So the only answer is the Tower of Babel needs to be destroyed.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are the daughters and sons of the greatest nations on earth. And we need to ask ourselves, what has happened to us? Where do we come from? And more importantly, where are we going? Our elites have declared a war on us, and now it is time for us to put on the full armor of God, fight back, and win. Thank you so much.
All right. That was good. Okay, so I had to play that whole video because she was just dropping truth bombs. And okay, so she sounds like she's over there in Europe talking like that. But I feel like the same thing is happening here in America, where we are letting all these people just come into the country, all these illegal migrants. Like Biden just opened up the border and told everybody just to come in. I believe he's even flying people in from other countries. So question comes to mind: who is making this happen? Who is allowing this to happen, and why? What's going on? All of this is destroying our country, or destroying the United States of America. So we have to sort of speak out and say something about it. Just like Elon Musk, now I see why he's talking about it, because we're not building anything. As a matter of fact, we're destroying what we already have. Write your opinions below. What do you think about this whole replacement theory? Are we destroying what we have and just letting migrants come in and rebuild everything to their liking, just destroying and killing people? Because the crime rates are high here in America. So I really wanted to play that because she just dropped some truth bombs. And that's a video shared by Elon Musk. And again, I was wondering why Elon Musk, I guess he doesn't see any science that could help out this whole birthing problem. They got movies talking about scientists taking embryos and sperms and in the lab cooking up a baby and raising it. But I guess it's all science fiction. I'm not a scientist, so I can't really tell. But it would have been great if that was a possibility. That's like, and obviously it's not. I think Elon Musk would have jumped on it right away. The idea that you could just have a baby in the lab, it's all science fiction, nothing real. So then what's the other solution, right? To buy Twitter and then promote the idea that, hey, we are collapsing. We need more babies. We need more kids. Get to it, or you will be replaced. Again, comment below. Let me know what you think. This channel is all about, oh yeah, let me say this much. My name is Noel, battling MS, here at Verbal on Life, trying to create a platform where you can be verbal on life and comment below so we can keep the conversation going. All right.
Verbal on life.